Hello everyone and welcome back to 80 Days. Now I know this is on a bit of an odd day, but the entirety of this week is on a slightly different schedule as I've got another video that I want to fit in to come out on Friday. So I'm having to sort of record everything on slightly different days, but I really enjoy this game, so I don't see a reason why we can't play it some more. So we are currently on day 21. We do not have time to waste. We are in Riyadh. And we need to get over here to Manama, but we cannot find a way forward, so we need to explore, see if we can find ourselves some routes. Wonderful, we've made our way to Manama. We could go to Muscat, but I think we'll go there instead, to Manama. We visited Khalid's uncle, Abdul, a stout fellow in yellowing robes who greeted us warmly and pinched both our cheeks with good-natured elubience, or ebullience. I restrained Monsieur Fogg from murdering our new friend with his eyes, reminding him that the Arabs have different notions of politeness from Englishmen, good old Englishmen. One of the numerous children darting around the place brought a large silver plate of sweet dates and dark coffee, which my master graciously accepted, despite his oft-stated preference for tea. Abdul spat a date stone into a spittoon across the room with uncanny accuracy and told us about the nearby Sheikhdom of Bahrain and the town of Manama. You'll be comfortable there. It is a British protectorate and will be easy to catch a steamer to India from the port. We thanked him and took our leave without much further ceremony. I don't think we need to ask about Muscat. We know where we're going. He doesn't like that we're bringing these candles with us. Let us negotiate for tomorrow, no charge, so we can get going as quick as possible. Let's head to Riyadh. Let's go to the market actually and remind ourselves. I don't think we need a false passport, so I think we'll be okay with that stuff. Let's spend the night in a hotel and we'll head off to Manama tomorrow morning. As night fell, we need to afford our master every service, providing him with fresh clothing, because Monsieur's health is pretty low after that long caravan arduous journey. So let's get going to Manama. We have to get rid of some stuff. Okay, we can get rid of the Ottoman things. We can get rid of... We can't get rid of the centre canal because we're heading there. We'll get rid of the drafts board. We can get rid of the neck cushion because I don't know how often we're going to be going on flights. And we'll get rid of the... Oh, we're just about to go to India. Let's get rid of the... what do we get rid of? Let's get rid of the railway whistle and the sailor's cap, because I don't know if we can keep our Indian timetable or Indian train timetable or not, because I think we need to be able to use it. Often you can buy third carriages, but I'm guessing in this little car there's just not the space for it. We were in luck and discovered that the Manamar's magistrate's son, Wali, was driving up to Manamar in his brand new Ferrari. He clearly loved his car. I surmised that he would be a cautious driver, if only to avoid scuffing the immaculate paintwork. He started the electric engine. It sprang into life immediately, not requiring the slow build-up of pressure of a steam-powered vehicle. We could have asked him to go fast, but I think we just need to ensure that we get there safely and without annoying our master too much. We hummed along the desert road in the electric vehicle. I began a conversation over the quiet hum of the carriage-style wheels on the yellow-white sand. Have you been to Manama before? I asked. Oh yes, Wali leaned back comfortably in the leather seats before casting me a sideways glance. I have a lady friend there. Oh? I offered uninterestedly, which only seemed to encourage the young man. Her parents are pearl divers. They are poor, but honourable. My father does not approve, but he is a traditional man. He pronounced the term as a slur. Times change, I agreed thoughtfully. I've seen that much for myself in my travels, for good or ill. We continued our conversation in this vein until the sun set in a panorama of violet and vermilion, and the gaslit harbour town of Manama appeared on the horizon like a welcome mirage. It is a little strenuous, good sir, but we are now into Manama. Let's go to the market. Let's sell our scented candle and our leather braces. We could get part of the Desert Traveller set, which I think would be useful, as well as the Open Road set. I think the hooded cloak will be okay. We're not really in urban lands at the moment. If you think I'm wearing that cloth thing, you are most mistaken. Let us plan. And we can get all the way over to Bombay. It's going to arrive on Monday, which is about a week. Ooh, that's a lot of money to spend, but I want to leave tomorrow. So we spent the money, and it's going to depart tomorrow. Wonderful. Well, I think we've got time. I think we've got time to go for an explore, see what happens. We've got some new routes discovered. Well, we already knew that was a route, but it stops us at Dubai instead. British influence over Bahrain had been cemented with the signing of the Perpetual Truce of Peace and Friendship some 20-odd years ago, which made Manama a town most congenial to Monsieur Vogg's particular tastes. I bought some Darjeeling tea from a vendor who supplied the British residents in Bushara. Monsieur Fogg showered me with appreciation, which is to say he gave me the slightest of nods. He is not a demonstrative man, but I dare say I'm growing used to it. Okay, we're starting to get his health back up, which is nice. We can depart to Dubai today, but no. I think we will stay in Manama for the night, rest up, and get Monsieur Fogg's health up, and we'll leave for the next morning. Before retiring, I attended to Monsieur Fogg, providing him with a haircut. It is definitely a tiring journey, good sir, but we need to head to Bombay. Let us hope... No, I said Bombay. Okay, we need to go down here to Bombay. Let us embark. This is going to be costly on his health, but I think it'll be worth it. Okay, so uncomfortable conditions and mild seas. This seems a wearisome option, but the travelling cloak from our Gentleman Traveller set should make things easier. Let us depart on this wonderful looking steam vessel, which still has sails. The Hadil was a steam yacht with Barquentine sails. I'm not sure if that's presumably it's a sailing term, I don't know it myself, and a compound steam engine. Her hull pitted and... We don't need to talk about pleasure boats. Her hull and pitted and scarred by heavy use. She was a working ship and had been a whaler until recently, but she was currently loaded with Barani pearls and headed for the port of Bombay. Let's have a quick look here, actually. Do we know where we're going from Bombay? I think we probably want to head up towards Hong Kong or Beijing, maybe. So we'll probably head up towards Allahabad, but we'll converse and see what we can find out about Bombay. Greetings, Captain. Evening, Passepartout. What about, let's see, Bombay to Allahabad? I've had the times for the journey from Bombay to Allahabad in this pamphlet. What about Allahabad onwards to Karachi, maybe? No, he doesn't think that's possible. Allahabad to Calcutta? No, but we've learnt about somehow we've learnt about San Francisco to Salt Lake City, onto Xi'an, onto Ahama, or however you say it. While we're travelling, let's have a quick look at our route. We've gone very sort of southwest. I think we need to start heading back up north. But we are making good progress. We did spend a little bit of time here going off the way, but I think we're making good progress. We departed, and I allowed my master to board first, as was customary, and we spent the evening recovering from all the lifting and carrying, a wearying start to our maritime voyage. It's going to take a lot of time to get across this ocean, but I think it's going to be worth it. Let us make sure that Monsieur Fogg is well looked after, otherwise we're going to come into a lot of struggles later on, I think. Today we rounded the famed Strait of Hormuz, an impossibly small channel of water linking the Persian Gulf with the open ocean. We navigated the seas expertly, weaving past streamers flying unfamiliar flags, and weighted down with precious cargo. I must admit, I greeted the open ocean with gratitude after the crowded strait, and was carried off to sleep by the rhythmic gurglings of the Hadil's boilers. I'm scared that something's going to go wrong, and let's make sure to keep Fogg on side here, as we need to keep going, and we need to keep him on side. The more his health goes down, I think, the more we're going to be struggling with our route forwards. We spotted a whale, though apparently it was not a whale at all, but a dreaded sea monster, which had recently eaten an entire steamer bound from Malacca, hull and all. I had not heard of such a beast, but apparently it prowled all 7 seas without exception, and was impossibly fast and deadly. Ships had been going missing for years, and there was even some talk of an international expedition to hunt the creature. The crew of the Hadil, however, had no such dreams of glory. I watched for the monster's shadow for several hours, but, to my misfortune, or perhaps my luck, we saw no further sign of it. It's probably for the best. I don't think we want to be dealing with that. Our first glimpse of Bombay was a fluttering mass of colourful sails and gaily decorated hulls. Enormous schooners and steamships were docked in the deep water of the harbour, swarmed by little fishing vessels and sailboats. The sky was enlivened by airships in all sizes and configurations. Steam and smoke poured into the sky. Alas, I was already sweating by the time the Hadil docked. And here we are, into Bombay. Let us go to the market. Where was that? Oh, I think we sold some things. Probably not for the best, but hey ho. We might be going to Hong Kong, so we'll definitely do that. I think we can get rid of the tea. But let's get rid of the Indian timetable. I think we're okay now. I'll pick up the Southern Hemisphere train map. We might be going to Singapore, so let's get an extra suitcase. We'll just buy everything. Why not? Let us go back. We've discovered some new routes from Colombo. Okay, so we're discovering some bits down in this part of the world. We could get to Singapore, which would be useful. And then we could head up to from Singapore we could head to Manila even. And we're learning some routes from Australia as well. From Auckland on a very, very long boat ride all the way to Pitcairn Island. Didn't realise there was an island there, but of course there was. And heading into South America. I think I'm quite keen to go to Singapore, but I think we'll head upwards, see if we can get somewhere from Manila onwards further. But for now we're in Bombay and we need to find a way forward, so let's explore and see what we can find. Bombay to Nova Goa, Bombay to Bangalore, we shouldn't have sold. So we sold the train title and that to get rid of the routes. But luckily we found that Allahabad again. Monsieur Fogg cared not a straw for the wonders of Bombay, but gave me a few hours leisure as he had settled to his luncheon. I ended up wheezing and puffing my way up to Malabar Hill, the highest point in South Bombay. I paused at the top to look towards the city. I could see the gas lamps along the Queen's Necklace and Marine Drive being lit one by one in preparation for the evening, and palm trees waving in the salt-scented breeze. Catching my breath, I found my steps irresistibly drawn towards the Banganga Temple. Sorry, my pronunciation is going to be pretty awful of some of these places, but I'll do my absolute best. The temple tower was reflected serenely in the water of the reservoir, fed by an underground spring said to come from the Ganges. I entered the temple, fascinated by the relief carvings of gods and goddesses which covered the entire Gopuram. One of the priests spotted me and issued out a great pained cry of alarm. Oh, I think we probably weren't allowed inside. I turned and fled, without a full thought passing between my brain and feet. Alas, the priest's cry drew the attention of his fellows and other temple goers, all of whom descended upon me in a pack. They took my shoes and hat and ejected me from the temple complex with rather zealous roughness. I tried to catch my breath for a few moments. My cultural explorations had proved rather more strenuous than expected. A woman in a deep umber sari offered me a pristine white handkerchief. Non-Hindus are not allowed in the temple, she declared, especially with their shoes on. I did not realise, I explained, and she sniffed. Where do you think you are, Gora? She demanded, her hand on her hip. This is not Paris, this is Bombay. Bother yourself to learn the difference. I handed her back her handkerchief with thanks. Duly chastened, I resolved to be more mindful of local customs, for I had chanced losing more than my shoes with my ignorance. I returned to my master barefoot and rather shamefaced. I hope this will not happen again, said my master coldly. That was to be the last word on Bombay, gateway to the jewel in the crown of the British Empire. Except for... And what, pray, has happened to your shoes? Okay. So we could try and get to Singapore, but I think actually that's not going to be going too well for us, as we don't have a route through here. Alternatively, we could get to Calcutta pretty quickly. So I think we will do that. It departs at 12 noon tomorrow. So we will absolutely do that. Let's close the luggage, and we will head back into Bombay and try to put this embarrassing time behind us. So let's spend the night in a hotel, and we'll keep on heading on. We took a room and settled in, and I afforded my master every service. I don't want to cause any more trouble in Bombay than I already have done. We ensured that he was comfortable, and my relations with Fogg has strengthened slightly. We're going to depart straight away for Calcutta. It's going to arrive on Wednesday, which is quite a long time, and it's going to be very wearisome, but I think it'll be worth it to get going. The clerk who took our money counted it fastidiously, and then recounted it, before issuing us a ticket. A ticket to Calcutta, Sahib. 4 days, no faster way around the world. What about airships? Airships are fast, yes, of course, she replied, but still smiling. But they're not as opulent as our train. I look forward to the journey. Journey? What am I saying? Journey. Yes, good. You will see. You will wake up a new man in Calcutta, Sahib. She gave me an edged smile. I should have known she was lying, but we boarded the train in blissful ignorance of our fate. Okay, we're going to ensure that Fogg is pretty happy with us, because something tells me that the Great Indian Peninsula Railway is not going to go to plan. The train started with a sharp screech, but entirely punctually. We shared our compartment with a tall, fair fellow by the name of Sir Francis, who was an old India hand. My master made no secret of the circumstances of his journey, and our new friend clearly thought him entirely devoid of common sense, an uncharitable view which did not endear me to him. Our wager was now in full swing. I began to worry over delays and obstacles, both imagined and real. Monsieur Fogg's cool-headed demeanour seemed incroyable, and made me admire him all the more, while stiffening my resolve to aid him in winning his wager at any cost. I slept fitfully, though the berths were comfortable enough. I had an uneasy feeling about our journey across India. Something is going to go wrong on the way to Allahabad, and I'm concerned as to what it might be. Today Sir Francis told me of the regions we were passing through. Monsieur Fogg, who was not travelling, but merely describing a circumference, preferred to reread his edition of the Morning Post. I listened eagerly to his bloody stories of Aurangabad, capital of the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb, and the rock-cut temples and ancient caves of Ellora, which had Buddhist and Jain inscriptions as well as Hindu. It sounds wondrous and dangerous. Sir Francis shot me a serious look. There are rumours of Kali Bhakts in the forest in Jharkhand. They are devotees of Kali, the red-tongued Hindu goddess of death. I've heard rumours that these devotees have been the cause of some recent disturbances. What kind of disturbances? Sir Francis sighed deeply. They had been murdering travellers, leaving the corpses on display as a grotesque warning to the British Raj. This is a recent development? I questioned. I felt a certain trepidation about our onwards route. The Kali operate in the territory of the independent Maharaja of Gwalior, governed by one of his liege Rajas, who died last month. The Raja's death was the start of all the trouble. Sir Francis sighed volubly again, and we lapsed into comfortable silence for the rest of our journey that day. We're going to get into Allahabad. I'm hoping things don't go wrong. The train conductor woke us up here. As he passed along the carriages shutting, passengers will get out here. I hastened outside, or I determined to find a way to make our journey continue, though my hopes were quickly dashed when I discovered there was no more track. Apparently, many of the other passengers began to load their bags into palanquins, ponies, steam carriages which had all been previously arranged. Sir Francis looked quite ready to knock the conductor flat on his back, though my master betrayed not even the slightest hint of dismay. I asked a fellow passenger, a Portuguese opium merchant, who laughed at my predicament before racing off in her steam carriage. A boy not long out of short trousers seemed to take pity on us, or at least had a wish to practice his English, and directed us towards a local merchant who had recently purchased a large mechanical elephant from Bombay. Okay. Let us... that's a lot of money to get to Calcutta. And it's going to be very expensive. There must be another way to get to Calcutta cheaper. Let us explore. We can get to Benares, which I think we'll have to do to avoid that cost. Allahabad was a charming enough town, though not, it must be said, a desired destination of ours. Beyond the city limits and beyond us and our goal lay the forest of Jharkhand, populated by tigers, pythons, elephants, and apparently bandits. Monsieur Fogg was my words cannot come to me today. Monsieur Fogg was his usual phlegmatic self, but I could not share his calm. I'm a man of cities, not the jungle. That's going to be slow as well. How much is that going to cost us? Well, let's spend the night. Or when do you depart? You depart tomorrow. That's going to take you till Friday. That arrives Friday as well. Okay, we're going to have to go on the elephant. It's going to be a big cost, but I kind of want to ride on an elephant because it sounds quite fun. So let's spend the night in a hotel, and if we can't find another way to Calcutta, we'll take the elephant. With the last light of the evening, I went out to explore a little and spoke to a cheerful Bangladeshi master who had mislaid a locket, which I spotted, and who then, in between fits of great joviality, let it slip that his friend was on a holiday in Benares just before the Wildtail Express to Wildtail went missing. I paid £1 for the information, and he nodded, and then moved away. So Benares, we can get to Wildtail. It's not overly useful, but we're going to depart straight away for Calcutta, and this is going to be tough. But oh my goodness, look at this! This looks incredible! I love the art style in this game, I really do. It was easy to spot Chani, the mechanical elephant, as she was easily the largest creature. No, indeed, structure. In Allahabad, her owner's eyes lit with avarice at our approach. My friends, do not make me commit to paper the sum that Monsieur Fogg paid for that elephant. But I fairly burst with indignation at the extortionate price. I muttered that she may as well be made of solid gold rather than forged iron, but my master demurred the gold was a more impractical metal for vehicular construction. All three of us, myself, Monsieur Fogg, and Sir Francis, mounted into the iron carriage suspended from the range of rotary gimbals which comprised her belly. The cage kept the carriage from pitching and rolling, with Chinese iron-fitted gate like a gyroscope one could perch within. The Mahout scrambled up behind the padded neck, and we set off in a straight line towards Calcutta. We're going to ensure that on this very arduous journey we look after Monsieur Fogg. We were 4 hours into the shortcut when the mahout called a halt. I listened out carefully. Beyond the rustle of leaves and birdsong, I could hear the sound of cymbals and bells, overlaid with voices raised in chant. The mahout urged Chunni behind some thick foliage and turned off her engine. She slumped into a guttering silence. Through the branches I saw more than 40 men and women in a procession. They had the look of rich mercenaries, but they were armed with naked sabres and long pistols, which they proffered the priests for blessings. Behind the procession loomed a four-armed mechanical Kali with polished black skin, gleaming ruby eyes, and a protruding tongue the colour of blood. The earth shook with each of her piston-driven steps, and the string of bleached skulls around her waist rattled, and she clutched a young woman whose head, neck, shoulders, ears, arms, hands and toes were loaded down with jewels and gems, and whose eyes were thickly collared. Sir Francis looked troubled. I have heard rumours that the Kali cult sacrifices virgins. The mahout shook his head. She is no virgin. That is the widow of the Raja. She looked very small and frail in the iron armour of the mechanical goddess, but was quickly lost from view. The mahout began to start Chunni's engine when Monsieur Fogg said, "Suppose we save this woman." "How exactly?" I demanded, with some excitement. "I see only one course." The project he then outlined was a bold one, not to say impractical. Monsieur Fogg was to risk life or at least liberty, and therefore the success of his tour, to rescue the lady. I was ready for anything that might be proposed. As for my master, I could not credit his sudden rashness. He confused me all the more. We decided to wait until the early hours of the morning and spirit the women away from camp when the mercenaries were asleep. Okay, what is going to be the cause? What's going to go wrong? Something's going to go wrong here. We're spending a lot of time here, so I really hope it's worth it. We crept up on the Kali as they slumbered in a clearing beside a ruined temple. There were guards patrolling us at each corner of the camp. A stealthy rescue would be impossible. I was seized with an admittedly foolhardy notion to ride Chunni into the camp. Why not? Let's have fun. Let's have fun. I pushed Chunni's speed lever all the way forward before leaping off the howdah. Chunni screamed and charged. The guards scattered out of the way with cries of alarm, and the newly awoken mercenaries ran this way and that. The camp was in uproar. I stole into the camp with soft, careful steps, but could not help a triumphant grin as I passed by without attracting undue notice from the panicking mercenaries. I found the young prisoner huddled in sleep and reached out to her shoulder to wake her. My fingers barely brushed her tunic when I felt my legs swept out from underneath me. I dropped to my knees. Quick as a panther, the woman leapt to her feet and pressed the edge of a gleaming, curved blade to my neck. Her lips were drawn into more of a grin more bloodthirsty than ladylike. Oh dear. This could be very interesting indeed. "Good morning," she said in cultured English tones. "A pleasure to make your acquaintance." And so we came to be the prisoners of a Kali cult. The woman, Adoha, turned out to be the leader rather than the prisoner of this band of mercenaries. They had risen up against the British after the death of Adoha's husband, the Raja. Despite her fierce appearance, she left me my journal and pen. My documentary efforts seemed to fascinate her. She demanded I read her my recent entries until she came to this one, featuring herself. Her brow wrinkled. "We're not a Kali cult, monsieur. Erase that." "Then what are you?" Oda gave me a sardonic look which encompassed me and my journal. "What exactly are you?" "I am a storyteller." She clapped me on the shoulder in manic delight. How very lucky for you, me, that you became so unfortunately lost. My followers and I have a very interesting story to tell. She left me with those words and moved on to interrogate Monsieur Fogg, who was attempting to sit very straight in his hempen bonds. As night fell in the forest, I feared she might hurt him, and could hardly sleep for the worry. Well, I think we're going to leave that off there. Next time we find out what happens with the cult, and we see if we can get out. We may not happen. It may not happen. We may be stuck here in this Indian forest for a very long time, if not forever. And we may not survive. But thank you so much for watching. Please do take care. Bye-bye.